In a world defined by two major stealth action franchises, Splinter Cell and Metal Gear Solid, there would be a new refined series to the party with IO Interactive's Hitman. While Sam Fisher and Solid Snake were still relative entities of good and tried to achieve the outcome best for the fate of the world, Agent 47 was different. As a man with no memory of his past, 47 was a ruthless assassin hired by the International Contract Agency, or ICA, in Hitman codename 47. With his bald stoic appearance and barcode tattooed skull, Agent 47 would quickly rise up and become one of the most recognizable figures in gaming, which means he warranted his fair share of bad movies, but we'll get to that. Releasing in November 2000, Hitman codename 47 offered gamers a third-person action stealth title that took them into the world of contract killers. Such a concept had never been attempted like this before, and as such, codename 47 had its issues, like a terrible checkpoint system for saves and poor artificial intelligence. Nonetheless, it was the first game to really employ ragdoll physics, foliage physics, and cloth simulation, which are major staples in video game graphics today. Hitman 2 Silent Assassin would begin to shape the assassin we knew and loved. After discovering his status as a clone in the first game, Agent 47 retired to a monastery in Sicily seeking peace. Unfortunately, after the kidnapping of his dear friend, 47 would resume his life as a contract killer, eventually rejoining the ICA. Silent Assassin featured many noteworthy tropes of the series, such as the freedom to complete objectives in any way the player chose. Though the targets themselves were set, how you went about killing them was up to you. Enemy AI had been vastly improved this time around, and though blending in and changing disguises was more intuitive, suspicion surrounding Agent 47 would rise until the disguise's cover was blown, so to speak. Having released in October 2002 for PS2, PC, Xbox, and GameCube, Hitman 2 Silent Assassin began the series' path of creative stealth kills, even if it didn't ease new players in all that well. Sales-wise, it did very well, with more than 3.9 million units sold as of April 2009. The series would take an odd turn with Hitman Contracts, which released in April 2004. Releasing on PS2, Xbox, and PC, Contracts served as a side story of sorts. It was actually set during the events of Hitman Blood Money and saw Agent 47 recalling his past assassinations. The game actually recreated levels from codename 47 for the purpose of its storyline and hinted at the franchise that would appear in the next game. Despite pushing context-sensitive actions, such as using a single button to either steal a guard's disguise or conceal his body, Hitman Contracts wasn't a major evolution of the formula. That didn't stop it from selling 2 million copies by April 2009. Hitman Blood Money brought the series back on track when it released in May 2006 and featured Agent 47 as a renowned assassin for hire. This would be the first time the series introduced rival assassins, namely the franchise, to provide 47 with more worthy opponents. There were other firsts though, like turning any normal object into an improvised weapon, America as a setting, concealing your assassinations as accidents, throwing limp bodies into containers for concealment purposes, human shields, and so on. There was also the notoriety system, which affected the ability of NPCs in later missions to identify Agent 47. The higher the notoriety, the less likely you were to go unrecognized as the game progressed, thus further encouraging stealth and creative kills over outright running and gunning. Within its first few weeks, Blood Money managed to sell 1.5 million copies. Of course, the game also had a tone of finality to it in many ways. It would be the last soundtrack for the series by veteran composer Jesper Kyd. Despite the success of Blood Money, the series would go through a lull of sorts for a few years. The only really noteworthy addition to the series was the Hitman movie, which released in 2007 and featured Timothy Olyphant as Agent 47. And by noteworthy, we mean infamous. The film received negative reviews for its writing and overall story. It eventually made its money back with a gross of $128 million on a $24 million budget, but a planned sequel for the franchise had been cancelled. Hitman lay seemingly dormant thereafter until Square Enix purchased Eidos and IO Interactive in 2009. It was at that point that a new game was confirmed, and this would eventually be Hitman Absolution. The Hitman series was no stranger to controversy in its marketing, and Hitman Absolution made its biggest impact on May 2012 with the Attack of the Saints trailer. Though it created controversy, there was still plenty of excitement. This was, after all, the first Hitman title to be developed for PS3 and Xbox 360. The story saw Agent 47 in a rather grim situation, having killed his handler, Diana Burnwood, and eventually going AWOL while safeguarding a young girl. While praised for its visuals, Absolution was criticized for the overly linear nature of its missions and lack of true sandbox levels. Also, that checkpoint system we didn't like in the very first game? Yeah, that came back, and fans were none too pleased. Despite these criticisms, Hitman Absolution still sold 3.6 million copies as of March 2013. Thankfully, even with another terrible Hitman film having released in 2015, the Hitman series is more alive than ever. Hitman Go took the series in a puzzle-oriented direction on mobile devices, releasing recently for PS4 and PS Vita, and the new Hitman looks to return to the sandbox levels that fans love. Though the new Hitman will be adding content digitally over a period of time, and confuse fans with its overall delivery approach, closed beta impressions are positive, and we're looking forward to the final game releasing on March 11, 2016 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. What are your thoughts and favorite moments from the Hitman franchise? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.